Hello my friends, today we are going to the large-scale cattle farms in Australia to see how the process of raising millions of cattle here happens. According to statistics, at the beginning of 2022, in Australia there are about 19,000 beef cattle farms and about 4,500 farms producing a mixture of beef and sheep. The most popular breeds of cattle raised in Australia can be mentioned as Brahman, Hereford, Angus, or Murray Grey. Currently, the majority of cattle ranches in Australia are concentrated in states such as Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, and Western Australia. The average area of a cattle farm in this country is about 32,000 acres. Cattle were brought to Australia by the first British settlers in 1788. Herds grew slowly during the early years of settlement. By the 1800s, however, Australian farmers had taken advantage of the vast land and moved their herds to grazing areas further inland, thereby increasing herd numbers. In recent years, the number of calves born in Australia has fluctuated between 9.5 and 9.8 million a year, and 45% of them are born in Queensland. Most calves will live with their mothers on the farm for about 3 months before weaning. For cows that do not have the necessary amount of milk, the calves will be separated from their mothers earlier, and they will be fed milk provided by the breeders. This is a cattle farm in the state of New South Wales, where about 230 3-month-old calves are being cared for. Every day, the workers at this farm will use hay to feed the calves. Currently, the average size of a herd of cattle in southern Australia is about 430 heads, and in the north, the average herd size is around 1,600 heads. After about 4 months, the calves will be regularly grazed in the pastures. However, at this stage, they will not be moved too far from the farm like other adult cattle, because most of the food they use every day is still provided by the breeders. Every day, the mature cattle will be herded to the large pastures to feed, and to be able to move the livestock stably, the cattle breeders will need the help of cattle dogs. For a herd of about 500 cattle, they can travel about 15 miles a day to reach the new pastures. Currently, the total area of land used for grazing in Australia is approximately 831 million acres, which also includes areas used for grazing goats and sheep. After a long journey, herds will need to be fed before moving on to new pastures. At this time, dry grass and straw will be used to refuel for the next journey. The length of time a herd of cattle will feed on one pasture before moving to another will depend on a number of fundamental factors, such as the number of cattle in the herd, the size of the pasture, and the resiliency of the pasture. This is a herd in Queensland with about 350 heads. Every late afternoon, hundreds of cattle will gather at this small lake area to drink water. On average, an adult cattle needs to drink about 10 to 15 gallons of water per day, and afternoons are usually the time when their bodies need to be rehydrated. Currently, there are about 11,000 beef cattle farms in Queensland, with about 10.7 million heads, and annual beef production in the state is about 1.3 million tonnes.